the juvenile reported that his father had been shot while sleeping in his bed. For these two kids, it's horrible.
Kevin was a real caring father. That was very senseless. It was heartbreaking.
Our main suspect in the Kevin James murder is now murdered. They're both connected. One murder is bad enough, but two, we have to solve this.
I don't know if she was the driving force or if she also was played.
I'm getting a picture of what was going on. There are notes describing sexually detailed things that they would like to do to each other.
She never mentioned that. Why would she not mention that?
People wanted to be part of her little group. They would do anything for her, up to and including murder.
Be cautious about who you become friends with.
It was one of the most brutal, it was one of the most violent, definitely one of the most cold-blooded. If I think about this case, the thing that comes to my mind is manipulation. The second thing that would come to my mind is a chess game. There was a chess game and it came down to who outmaneuvered who.
The motivating factor of this crime? Love. The reason I chose to remain anonymous is my safety. How do you justify that? How do you make sense of that in your head for it to be okay?
Now an emergency. Somebody broke into our house and we heard gunshots.
There was a juvenile on the phone, and the juvenile reported that his father had been shot while sleeping in his bed.
Okay, the person that was in the house that shot the gun, where is that person now? They just took off in a car. When did they break into your house? Just now. Who broke into your house? Here. Hello? Who broke into the house? I don't know. Who broke into the house? All I know is I think my husband is shot and I do not want to go look. What is your name? Lisa James. There's a whole bunch of blood by his head. Can you guys get somebody else? Yeah. Okay, we have several people on the way, okay? Okay. How old are you? I'm 13. I can hear it. Come in.
The Riverside County Sheriff's Department responds to the 911 call. Detectives Michelle Amicone and Gary Thompson are dispatched to the home of Lisa James and her husband Kevin.
We arrived at the scene. There are patrol deputies there. The information that the deputies had was that Kevin James was dead. Kevin James had a wife, Lisa James, 2 kids, Kevin James Jr. and a younger son, Christopher, who was 7. Talked with Lisa James, the victim's wife. She kind of went between hysterical and the best word I can find to describe it is catatonic.
Detectives attempt to gather information from Lisa about what happened. Through the shock, she's able to piece together the moments leading up to Kevin's shooting.
When we were at the scene, I come to find out that Lisa James and her son, Kevin Jr., were asleep in a different room.
Lisa told the investigators that Kevin had the flu, and because she had lupus, she did not want to be sleeping in the same room with him that night. That was why she was sleeping in little Kevin's room.
They heard what sounded like someone breaking into the house, Lisa James and Kevin Jr. They got to the floor. They heard some stumbling around. They heard 3 to 4 gunshots and someone running down the stairs and out the front door. We go up the stairs and go to the master bedroom. He is laying in the bed. He is on his right side, and there's a pillow over his head.
And the pillow appeared to have like 3 holes right in the center of the pillow, and that there was pillow material coming out of the holes.
Then we took the pillow from the victim's head, and you could see that there were definitely 3 gunshot wounds in his left temple.
Detectives search for any clues that may reveal the killer or their motive.
We collected evidence inside the master bedroom bedding, 2 of the pillows that he was laying on, and then the 1 pillow that was used as a muffler, so to speak.
Of course, the scene was completely gone through with our crime scene techs, and they found nothing that would lead us to another suspect. And nothing is missing. We find somewhere around $800 in Lisa's purse. There were just things in the house that if burglary were the intent, they would have been gone. And they just weren't.
Targeted.
We talked with Lisa about possible people who had motives or problems with Kevin, and Lisa couldn't come up with anything.
Kevin was a real caring father. He had 2 sons that he doted over. He was really proud of them and that they were well-rounded kids.
He'd grown up in LA. He and his family had recently moved to this house in Moreno Valley. He was a mechanic.
He loved cars. That was his passion, his hobby. He had a red convertible. He spent a lot of time in his garage wrenching on the vehicle, and it put a smile on his face. Kevin and Lisa seemed like the childhood sweethearts that live happily ever after.
Lisa was also a native of Los Angeles. She worked as a pharmacy technician.
Lisa loved her 2 boys, and she loved Kevin. They were a good family to be around. We really were shocked by what happened to Kevin. He never was a violent person. He never raised his voice to anybody.
In looking at the James family, there would have been no indication that this was a family in which somebody was going to be brutally murdered in the middle of the night.
With little forensic evidence and no clear motive, detectives have more questions than answers. Did other members of the James family see anything that can help investigators? They speak to 13-year-old Kevin Jr., still reeling from the loss of his father.
He told me that after the shooting, he looked out the window and he thought he saw someone running away from the house, getting in a car, and leaving.
I looked out the window and I saw a white male running towards the car.
Did you see his face at all?
It looked like this guy named George.
Detectives need to know, who's George?
As I'm talking with Lisa, I find out that George is George Taylor, the best friend of a neighbor who lived 2 doors down from Lisa.
But investigators wonder, how could Kevin Jr. be certain he saw George in the dark of night?
Kevin Jr., having known George as kind of a neighbor, knew George's car.
And I knew it was this car, the Western car that looked exactly like his. You know what kind of car it was? Riviera, I think.
George had a very distinctive car. It was a 1965 Riviera. After the interview, it was clear that George was the most viable suspect.
We put out we have to find the person responsible for this brutal murder.
Coming up, as detectives close in on George Taylor, there's a major shift in the investigation.
The sheriff's department was notified as to a body found out east of Moreno Valley.
Something is going on, okay? And there are more people involved in this thing than just George. These 2 murders are both connected. And they said, you know, Michelle, you're never going to solve this. And I said, you know what? I am going to solve this, and you're going to jail.
Riverside County detectives are searching for a man named George Taylor. He was last seen fleeing the scene of Kevin James' murder in a distinct 1965 Buick Riviera. As deputies search for Taylor, detectives want to learn more about the person of interest. They begin by speaking to Kevin's wife, Lisa.
Lisa tells me she had a neighbor who lived 2 doors away named Shelby Harris. Shelby, George, Lisa, and Kevin were all friends. George lived at Shelby's house. They were neighbors. They were good friends, hung out a lot. Lisa didn't think that George had anything against Kevin or that they had any problems, so she didn't have any idea why George would have been involved in this.
Could George Taylor, a father, neighbor, and friend, suddenly turn on the James family? They contact Shelby for more information about George.
So when Shelby came to the station, she was very, I'm here to help. Here's a picture of George. Here's a picture of his car. I'm trying to get him to come to the station to help you out. I asked Shelby, why would George have been seen running from the house? Shelby just had no answers. She just didn't know.
After telling detectives what little she knows, Shelby vows to get in touch with George and convince him to come forward.
Shelby was able to get George to call us, and ultimately he does agree to come down to the station. George initially felt like he had to explain why his car was in front of the house where Kevin was murdered. So what George says is that he had been out driving earlier today. Some Hispanic males had started to follow him, that he had had trouble with these Hispanic males in the past, and that they wanted...
I said, well, Aztecs are trying to get my car again, and I'm not wanting to be down here. That's the reason we got up out of Dodge, because they got too close.
George says he rented a hotel room to hide out from the would-be carjackers to keep them away from Shelby's home. But later that night, he wanted to check in on his good friend, just in case.
So he said he did drive over to the street that Kevin and Shelby lived, stopped the car for a minute, everything seemed okay, and then he left. And then he said when he left, he decided he needed some sleep, so he went and parked in some orange groves and slept for a few hours. Then George's story kept changing. Then, well, he didn't go to the orange groves, maybe he went to a parking lot. He did eventually go back to the motel.
So which is it?
I really care.
You know the problem, George? I think you're not remembering because you can't keep your story straight. And you know why people can't keep their story straight? Because they're lying.
Okay, well, I'm not lying.
If you're not lying, you got one story you have to stick to. And this ain't working.
I definitely had the sense that George knew something about Kevin's murder. And so I arrested George.
For Kevin's friends and family, news of George's arrest raises many questions.
Why would George do that? What was his grievance? What did Kevin do to make George want to murder him? That was the question, is why?
The case was brought to the district attorney's office against George Taylor. And it was felt that there was insufficient evidence at that point to charge him with murder.
I knew that we didn't have enough for the DA to file charges on George, but I wanted to make sure that George was somewhere in jail to where when he got out, I knew his whereabouts and we could set up some kind of surveillance on him.
And so he was released from custody. But they continued to work the case. They initially put a tail on George and followed him.
George goes to his mother's house. Detective Fernandez and I were in a van on the street. A few hours into the surveillance, his mom came out of the house and she just came straight down the street and straight up to the van and started banging on the windows and yelling that she knew we were in there.
George has been arrested and he's been accused of having killed somebody. And I go, you gotta be kidding me, you crazy. Impossible. I would walk on fire and swear my son could never hurt anybody. He's a good human being.
She was really angry. And at that point, we're burned. And so we left.
Detectives aren't any further in their effort to build a case against George Taylor for the murder of Kevin James. And with their surveillance cover blown, they'll need to keep their distance. But a week later, Detective Amicone gets a call that brings a sudden twist to the case.
I get a call from George's girlfriend telling me that they're worried, that they have not seen George in a few days, and he now is not answering the pages that they're sending him. He's not calling them.
I called Detective Amacone, and I told her that I text George because our son was sick. So I asked him to pick up medication on his way in, and he didn't return my call. So as soon as he didn't return my call, I knew something was wrong.
Detectives are skeptical. Is George in trouble, or is he on the run?
My initial reaction was George is hiding out, but she really, really believed that either George was in serious danger or had been killed.
In Moreno Valley, California, detectives have discovered that just 2 weeks after the murder of Kevin James, the prime suspect in the killing, George Taylor, has vanished.
When I called Detective Amacone and I said, something's not right because there's no way that he wouldn't call his mom. He's never not called us for any reason.
His mom kept pointing out, okay, if he was hiding out, he could still make phone calls. He could still answer pages. I did start to feel like, his mom might be right, and he may not just be hiding out.
Detectives take a missing persons report and advise Riverside County deputies to be on the lookout for George Taylor.
About 6 to 8 days after George went missing, deputies in Moreno Valley got a phone call that there had been a body found way on the east end of Moreno Valley.
Detective Amacone sends partner Gary Thompson to the remote location to investigate.
We arrived at the scene and found a white male laying face down in a ditch.
I got a phone call, and he asked me if George had any significant tattoos. And I said that both his mom and girlfriend said he had a large tattoo of a genie on his back. And Thompson told me then on the phone, it's George.
When we found out that he had been murdered himself, we really were shocked. That was another twist that we didn't see coming. At that point, we thought, who killed George?
Why did detectives check the scene for any clues that can connect the murders?
There was a distinct bullet wound to the back of George's head. This also looked execution style to me, similar to Kevin's murder. I felt at that point they're both connected. And while I believe George was the shooter in Kevin's murder, by no means did I think George was alone.
Given the eerie similarities between the two killings, detectives believe there may be an accomplice who was involved in both. But who is it? They start by speaking to George's family.
February 10th, I was on the phone with Tina, and we were talking, and we were, just kind of supporting each other, and her doorbell rang.
It was 10 o'clock at night. She came and told me they had found my son's body.
You never forget that cry, the screaming that happened. You can't unhear that.
If my son is the only one that has committed this crime, why would anybody want to kill him? He will get caught. And eventually he will pay the price for his crime. There was no need to kill him. Only somebody without a soul could do that to another human being.
Detectives ask George's girlfriend, Samantha, who she last saw George with before he was murdered. She provides the names of 2 individuals, Terrence Bledsoe and Joe Jensen.
Terrence and Joe were new friends. The night George went missing, he said that he was going out to LA, and so I asked him who he was going with, and he told me that he was going with Terrence and Joseph.
If George was last seen alive with Terrence and Joe, could they be the missing accomplices in both murders?
I've now got Terrence identified, and of course I've checked his criminal background. He has absolutely nothing. I have Terrence come down to the station for an interview, and Terrence comes willingly.
Hey, Terrence. How you doing? I'm good. How are you? I'm okay. Good. I want to know, what have I done now? Now, what makes you think you did something? No, I'm just asking, I'm
immediately struck by Terrence as, what is he me doing with this group? He was kind of nerdy, not very streetwise. He just didn't fit. Terrence identifies Joe as his roommate, and that they hang around a lot.
Amicone questions Terrence about the last time he was with Joe and George.
Terrence tells me that on the hall,
He wanted to go to L.A. Why you
was
don't?
Joe with you?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Joe up too. Ooh.
And then Joe and George leave together. And Terrence tells me that George Taylor has not been back in Moreno Valley since he left for LA.
Could Joe be the trigger man in George's murder and the missing accomplice in Kevin's?
Now I know we have to find Joe.
Coming up, as detectives search for Joe, they uncover a possible motive behind the murders.
While I'm watching them, I am starting to get this vibe between the two of them. I think they're involved in a relationship.
We are not having an affair. Then you better start telling me the truth. I'm telling you the truth.
Riverside County detectives interviewing Terrence Bledsoe discover that George Taylor, the prime suspect in Kevin James's murder, was last seen with a man named Joe Jensen before he was found dead. Investigators need to find Joe.
So I did page Joe, and Joe called me back. To my surprise, he was willing to talk to me, but would not give me any information at all.
You know what, Joe? Let me get your whole name first.
I feel like giving you my last name.
Come on. You can't give me your last name?
Because I just don't want my name coming up in anything else. My name's already coming up in a bunch of I don't need it no more.
He won't really give me any information on George, and that was the end of it. So immediately, that became suspect.
With Jensen tight-lipped about any involvement, investigators return to Terrence Bledsoe.
What I was really hoping for was Terrence would start giving information on the other people and telling me what really happened, because he was the least involved, I felt. So what Terrence also told me during his interview was that he also saw George at a motel in Moreno Valley on January 12th, the night that Kevin was killed.
This is Monday night.
Yes.
And who all was there?
It was me, George, Joe, and Shelby.
So Terrence started giving me more information about the relationship between George, Shelby, Terrence, and Joe. What Terrence started to paint a picture of was that they always hung out together.
The fact that this tight-knit...
Each of them had been in the hotel room together on the night of Kevin's killing.
We went to the motel and asked about the date, January 12th, the night that Kevin was killed, and showed the manager a picture of Shelby and George and Joe and Terrence. And he confirms that they were there that night.
As investigators look into their motel stay, they're intrigued by a name on the receipt.
The name on the motel receipt is Lisa Mash, with an M.
To Detective Amicone, the name sounds very similar to Lisa James's maiden name.
Lisa's got two driver's licenses. One in the name of Lisa James, and one in the name of Lisa Nash, which is her maiden name.
Amicone wonders, what are the odds a real person named Lisa Mash rented the motel room? Detectives begin to grow suspicious of Lisa. They bring her in for further questioning.
And so I asked Lisa about this, and Lisa admits that she rented the motel room.
Why are you using an expired driver's license to rent a motel room? You didn't use your license that said Lisa James. Lisa Nash. And when you signed the register, you signed it Lisa Mash with an M, not even Lisa Nash.
Put it in yourself.
Yeah.
She never mentioned that. Why would she conceal that they had been hanging out at this hotel room the night of the killing from the police?
Detectives answer to their question is simple. Lisa is involved. Now, a conspiracy is taking shape involving 4 people.
By this point in the investigation, I felt like Shelby, Lisa, Terrence, and Joe were responsible for both murders.
But why would Lisa James take part in her husband's murder? In a plot involving her friend and neighbor, Shelby Harris.
I decided to put Shelby and Lisa together in the same room. They were neighbors. They were good friends. I just wanted to see what they'd talk about. The first thing that jumped out was they sat across from each other. They did not speak. There is complete and total silence. And they're just staring at each other. So while I'm watching Shelby and Lisa in this room, I can't say they're winking or giving each other these blatant signs, but there's something in the way that they're kind of looking, nod on between the two of them. I myself am a gay woman. And so while I'm watching them, I am starting to get this vibe between the two of them. I think they're involved in a relationship. And I have a discussion with my detective partners, and I tell both of them, this may sound to you a little far-fetched, but here's what I think. I think the two of them are having an affair. And I have a feeling Kevin was killed because of that. And when I told them, you're going to have to trust me on this, and we have to at least explore it, the two of them were like, okay, we trust your instincts. Let's go.
Detectives separate the two. They confront Lisa with Amacone's theory that she's in a relationship with Shelby.
Lisa was adamant about not having an affair with Shelby.
Me and her are friends, that's it. Okay. If she's bisexual, if she's doing her own thing, that's on her. She's never tried anything with me. I am not having an affair. I do not have an affair with Shelby. I'm not turned on by women, point blank. Okay?
So now at this point, I feel like I have at least enough to detain Lisa. And by detaining Lisa now, I can search her purse. I'm hoping to find something inside Lisa's purse. There are notes.
Detectives notice the statements are written in 2 different handwritings.
One handwriting I can compare to Lisa's checkbook in her purse and see that it's Lisa's writing. My assumption at this point is Shelby's writing the other. And both of those are describing sexually detailed things that they would like to do to each other. I absolutely now believe that Shelby and Lisa are having an affair. I feel like this is the motive for Kevin's murder. And I feel like it's time to test the theory.
Riverside County detectives have just discovered evidence suggesting Lisa, the wife of murder victim Kevin James, is having an affair with person of interest and neighbor Shelby Harris.
Lisa continues to deny this sexual relationship. And I say, well, if that's the case, can you explain this to me?
You put down, I want to eat you. All right? Because I never did. It's embarrassing. It means nothing. Your husband is dead. I know. It just happened after Kevin's funeral.
And so now her story becomes, this was all after Kevin died.
Motive for both Lisa and Shelby to want Kevin James killed. But they still need to unravel the plot. To do so, Detective Amacone tries a new tactic and drafts a forged letter from a dead man, George Taylor.
And what I wrote was, to whom it may concern, if I wind up dead, Lisa and Shelby were having an affair. They wanted Kevin killed so that they could continue their affair. I didn't know whether it was going to work. I had a lot of interviews and I had a lot of information, very little that I could corroborate. We had no physical evidence. And I felt like even if it didn't work, it was a chance I had to take.
Amacone hopes the letter outlining her theory will will spark a confession from the detained suspects. She begins with Shelby Harris.
I show her the letter. She reads it. She pushes it back at me and says, I don't think George wrote that. And she says, you know, Michelle, you're never going to solve this. And I said, you know what, Shelby? I am going to solve this, and you're going to jail.
Streetwise Shelby Harris won't take the bait. But detectives think they have a weak link in the group, Terrence Bledsoe.
I bring Terrence in, I show Terrence the letter.
Guess what George did? He wrote a letter.
Okay, how did my name get in it?
I'm going to let you read it.
I haven't done anything.
And Terrence bites.
Come on, Terrence, and don't lie.
I'm not going to lie, okay? I knew someone George had killed him.
Thank you. And how did you know that?
When we left the hotel room, he had a gun.
Terrence starts telling me about Kevin's murder at Shelby's direction, all because of the affair between Shelby and Lisa. The day of the murder, Shelby and Lisa buy .40 caliber ammunition. Terrence says that they leave and go to the motel room. Shelby makes a phone call to Lisa, and Terrence hears Shelby say, it's going to be tonight. Terrence, Joe, and George drive to Kevin's house.
You were sitting where?
I was sitting in the back seat.
And Joe was in the front passenger seat, and George was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
George gets out of the car. Next thing, Terrence hears 2 loud booms. And then George comes running back, jumps in the car, and they all go back.
Murder. Then why did George end up dead?
Terrence starts telling me about George's murder. The Kevin James murder is committed by George. George gets arrested. George tells Shelby that he talked to his attorney.
When they was arguing, ma'am, they was arguing back and forth. He told me, I told my attorney everything, about everything.
Shelby now feels like George is on the cusp of spilling his guts to everybody. The day after that, Terrence and Joe pick up George in Terrence's car, his Cadillac. They drive out to a very secluded spot. Shelby is already there, and they are now arguing outside of the car.
Him and Shelby was arguing backwards and forth. And I said, man, you was stupid. And Joe was screaming at him, Shelby screaming, and it's up.
Joe raises the gun and shoots George once in the back of the head.
Terrence says that they drove George's body to the dump site, where it was found days later. Terrence is arrested for accessory to murder. To reduce his sentence, he agrees to cooperate with investigators. But they wonder, how could this seemingly harmless man get involved in a murder conspiracy?
Shelby was kind of the leader of this little group of people. And Shelby prided herself on this kind of killer mentality. And George, Joe Jensen, and Terrence were kind of hangers-on with her. And they wanted to be part of that killer mentality too. And part of that mentality is sometimes, well, when you're asked to commit a crime, well, you do what you're expected to do.
I found Shelby to be more on the charismatic side. Shelby could just kind of charm people into doing what she wanted them to do. If she put something together, she was able to convince them, this is a great idea, let's just do it. People wanted to be around her, and people wanted to be part of her little group, and they wanted to please Shelby, up to and including murder, which is mind-blowing, but that's the effect she had on them.
But everyone touched by this tragedy still struggles with one question. Is Shelby the mastermind, or is Lisa?
I'm unsure about Lisa's role in the crime. I don't know if she was the driving force or if she also was played.
Riverside County detectives have sufficient evidence to arrest 4 people in connection to the murders of Kevin James and George Taylor. Terrence Bledsoe, Triggerman Joe Jensen, Lisa James, and her lover, Shelby Harris.
They had to pay for what they did. I kept thinking about the children. My grandson without a father. Kevin's children without their dad. And mom, because she was gone too. You know? And for what? For what? So it was very hard. Very, very hard. I wanted whoever did it to be brought to justice.
But who is the mastermind behind the plots? Is it Shelby Harris or Lisa James? Detectives speak with George Taylor's family to understand why he would have agreed to kill Kevin.
George said Shelby was angry about something. Kevin had found out that Shelby and Lisa were having the affair, and I think he was trying to do his best to be supportive of his friend.
Shelby was a very good friend of George. She was like a sister. He would do anything for her. And she asked him to go into the house and kill Kevin. He agreed to do it for free just because he loved Shelby so much.
Shelby was the planner. Shelby got all the characters involved. And Shelby put the guns in everyone's hand, the ammunition in everyone's hand. I think without Shelby, none of this could have gone forward. But I do believe that Lisa was the catalyst for all of this.
In November 1999, murder trials for Lisa James, Shelby Harris, and Joe Jensen begin. Prosecutors describe defendants as a crew of cold-blooded killers led by mastermind Shelby Harris.
Shelby being the mastermind is 100% accurate. She plotted to be with a person who was in a relationship with someone else, and that meant murdering her husband. What do you say about a person that's willing to manipulate other people to do something for her so that she can be with her?
Shelby was the puppeteer, and George and all the others were the puppets. She was pulling the strings.
Even though Shelby masterminded the murder plots, prosecutors contend that Lisa James was a willing participant who wanted out of her marriage.
While Lisa was in this marriage and had 2 children, Lisa wanted to party kids and with living this domestic housewife life that she was living. Lisa had 2 ways of going here if she wanted to continue with Shelby. She could either say, I'm having an affair with a woman, and I'm going to divorce my husband, and then take whatever aftermath came with that. Or get rid of the husband. If Kevin's dead, she becomes the grieving widow, and Shelby becomes her comforter.
Shelby Harris and Joe Jensen are found guilty in the murders of Kevin James and George Taylor. Both receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. For his cooperation, Terrence Bledsoe receives a 3-year sentence. Lisa James is found guilty in the murder of her husband, Kevin. She receives 25 years. For friends and family, the verdicts come as little consolation.
I was relieved when I heard the verdict, but nothing's going to change. It's not going to bring Kevin back. It's not going to bring George back.
I liked Kevin. He was a good friend, was always laughing and smiling. He was a good human being. It's very sad that people can do that to each other.
It's a pain that never goes away. It's an open wound. My son being proven guilty in a court of law, he would pay the crime. But nobody has any right to take anybody else's lives. Why couldn't she fall in love with somebody else? It's just some kind of evil. That's all. She's evil.
Có lúc muốn biết em với anh là gì, chỉ là bản thân chơi với nhau không cần gì, mà sao từng phút giây tình yêu nào có, hay cứ đến với ta chẳng thể nào kịp nhận ra. Anh vẫn cứ nhớ nhung đến em hàng ngày. Em là tình yêu hay lẽ sống trên đời này. Nàng như là đóa hoa một thiên thần sứ, xa khiến cho ta ngất ngây không tìm được lối ra. Chẳng biết đến bao giờ nào đâu có anh ngờ tình yêu đã lỡ trao cho nhau. Người yêu mãi không rời đành cứ thế thôi người, sâu trong trái tim anh hằng mong ước. Muốn nói với em bao điều, dù cho trời đổi thay em là người anh không thể thiếu. Anh sẽ mãi mãi yêu em như vậy, chỉ mong là chúng ta tình yêu sẽ đong đầy. Mỗi lần gặp em trên phố anh chẳng biết nói gì hơn, em cứ xinh mà không cần phải cố. Ai cũng biết em là my girl, chẳng cần đau khổ mỗi khi âu sầu, vì em đã có anh ở bên, những kỷ niệm mà vẫn giữ trong đầu. Anh luôn đặt nó ở trên, vì anh yêu em hơn tất cả. Dẫu cho sau này nắng mưa anh không bao giờ sợ vất vả, dành cho em thì anh sẽ luôn dư thừa, bởi vì tình yêu ngọt như ly sữa trắng, cũng bị đắng như tách cà phê đến. Em cứ yên tâm không cần lo lắng, đã có anh mang đi hết ưu phiền. Nên là muốn nói với em bao điều, dù cho trời đổi thay em là người anh không thể thiếu. Anh sẽ mãi mãi yêu em như vậy, chỉ mong là chúng ta tình yêu sẽ đong đầy. La 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 la. Sau tất cả anh đã tự hỏi về tình cảm của chúng ta, bất chấp mọi thứ để đến bên em, rồi cuối cùng anh đã có thể nghe em là đây như thế đó anh sẽ yêu thật lòng. Sự thật là rất khó để thế giới luôn màu hồng, mặc cho ngàn khó khăn làm ta về cách ngàn nhưng vẫn mãi bên, chẳng bao giờ rời xa.